Hey everyone, I hope you had a great week. I want to go through this and make it a little bit more casual, just do a recap, to talk about some of the projects that I've been working on. It's been a busy week, back to building after kind of running from the hurricane in Florida up to Atlanta and then back to Florida now. So we're in this new world right now where AI is making things extremely easy to build. And coming from the VC space and startup space for a while, one thing that's really tricky is that the job of VCs is to pick winners, and the job of builders is to create something that people want. And because of AI lowering the bar to entry for a lot of these projects, it's very easy for you to dream up of a new idea, create something new, and share it with the world. And a lot of times in the traditional VC route, you as a builder would be able to go to VC and say, like, look, I got this banging idea. I would like some money for it, and maybe you can kind of get down the road faster. But right now, there's almost an influx of too many projects for the current VCs to handle. And so there's a few things that come along with that. So the first project I'm going to show you is this one called Unicorn X. And Unicorn X is a project that I made the other day using this AI. But basically the idea is that you as a builder or a founder can come up with these ideas and use the AI to generate it. But really we're going to start to use data and your kind of foundational pillar statistics to get you funded. And instead of you spending a ton of time on your pitch decks, you're actually going to be tracking these stats. So see here it says AI has made project creation so rapid that the line between a project and a startup has blurred. Let's just separate out that noise. So we're going to start to filter out the stats for views, signups, and sales all in one place. So that's great for developers because all you have to do as a developer is add a line of code, and you can effectively then skip the cold outreach to all these VCs and keep building. Let your numbers speak for themselves, right? Don't reach out to VCs when you have an idea, because an idea without code right now makes no sense, because AI should be coding for you immediately. And then this is great for investors too, because investors can start to follow your story, and they can then also start to invest in projects that are already growing and making money. So the idea here is really from a spark of an idea to cash flow. And there's really kind of 4 stages that exist here for these different projects, but most projects right now are in this stage where you have an idea and you're building your rail car. You have and maybe at best you have an MVP, and you have a massive dream, but you have no sales yet. The other 2 are basically like you created something, it was going, or never really got going, but you think some money could help you improve it. And then the last one here is the scrapyard, where it's kind of like you built something, it was kind of cool, you showed it to a couple of people, your friends and family tried it, but really kind of never took shape. And so you actually, it's not even off the rails and you still believe in it, it's kind of off the rails and you're like, you know what, I'm going to kind of look for better wins. Now, this one, the second one that I kind of skipped over here, is on the rails. And on the rails is the most exciting place for you as a startup founder and as an investor, because on the rails means that your project is active and gaining traction, and the risk of the project for investors to invest in you has been significantly de-risked, right? Even if you yourself, if you had to bet on something where you had to bet on horses at a horse track, and you were able to see the first 30 seconds of the race, you would far better, if you could kind of bet on one of the horses then, it'd be a lot nicer, because you could say, hey, that one's by far ahead, I'm going to pick that one up. But if you're picking them all up at the start of the gate, it is a little bit more risky. So you kind of look into past track record and things like that. So on the rails projects are what we're really interested in. And so how we're going to do that is basically for developers, you're just going to send an email to chris@blackbot.io, and you're going to use something called PostHog. And PostHog is like a Google Analytics or Vercel Analytics. And you're going to basically get your project ID and API key, and you're going to send that over my way. And then in your code base, all you have to do, this is a one-time thing, is that you're going to add in kind of these 2 events. So the PostHog capture for a new user, and then the PostHog capture for a sale. The views will automatically be tracked. And for investors, basically we have a service where you can pay a little bit to say, hey, look, when certain projects hit terminal velocity, where they're making some money and they kind of have some steady month-over-month runway, we will then notify you. So this is the extent of the service, really. But you'll see that this Unicorn X, this is one project. It's an amazing project that does X. You'll have the website link, you'll have the Twitter link, and then you'll start to track the number of views, the number of sales, the number of new users. And when those flow in, you will then know as an investor, hey, look, that's actually a project that's worth looking at. It's past the point of people just kind of casually looking at it, being like, is that a good idea or not? Now, we have a whole roadmap of things that we could do, but really most importantly, even if I was a VC full-time, these are the attributes that I really care about. So that's the extent of this project. If you are a founder, feel free to reach out to me and kind of give me your post-hoc project ID and API key. If you're an investor, reach out, or we can find ways to work together to kind of get you active deals, or even set this up for your portfolio companies to give you a better insight and other investors' insights in terms of ways that they might be able to invest in your projects. Now, that's the first project. The second one I want to show you is something about, we're in this world now where really our dreams can become reality much faster. And so I have this project called AI Your Photo, and AI Your Photo looks like this, where you are able to visualize your dream self in minutes. And this is a separate AI application that takes in your photos. You can see this kind of like an iPhone photo that's a little bit pixelated here, and it turns it into ultra high fidelity images of yourself, whether it's kind of a corporate headshot, an action shot, or even kind of you on a beach. You can do this in minutes on this AIyourphoto.com. So basically how it works is that you're going to upload your photos, 4 to 10 photos. Ideally, they're nice, crisp headshots, but even with these photos, you're still getting this type of quality. And then within kind of a couple hours, the AI model will train very deeply. It's a huge file, kind of like 2 terabyte file, training an AI model specifically for you, fine-tuning it. And then after that, you'll be able to prompt it, and you will be able to see it like this. So basically, you're going to kind of log in. It's something like $12 to kind of get your first set of photos. You'll click train model. It's only 2 steps. Train model. You're going to pick one of these that you think you're really looking forward to. I usually go with the one that's called bold. So this one here. And then you say model, put your name, and then you upload 4 photos and you click train. You'll see that your credits will go from 3 to 2. And then after that, basically you can prompt your model for anything. So some of my friends were just in Tanzania actually, and I was joking that I was on the kind of safari with them. And so I said, in Africa on a safari with lions, and you can see these kind of ultra high fidelity photos of me in that scenario using the best in the world model, the LoRa Flux model right now. So if you're looking to do this, if you're looking to visualize you in the future, create a vision board, or even kind of do things like Halloween costumes or Christmas cards, things like that, this model is really amazing. So this is open to the public, and you can use it at any point in time. The third thing I want to show you of 4 is I have a platform here called AnyChat, and we've made a couple updates to AnyChat, specifically that now we support more tokenization by default. And so AnyChat is a unique platform because it's a fresh take on how the world uses and kind of communicates with each other. If you take the market from a very high level, you have Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, Twitter, very much heavy presentation platforms, but the conversation is often goes in many directions. People jump into the conversation and can really become a bit of a fire hose in the sense that there's no clear line of reasoning for a lot of conversations, and they kind of fall off really quickly. And so where AnyChat comes in is it really focuses on a few different primitives. So the first is that in AnyChat, and I'll actually kind of jump into it. So AnyChat basically has these promoted rooms. You can kind of create a room. But you'll see here, we're going to jump into this Moxie room. And so the first thing you might know about AnyChat is I'm speaking English right now, but you can actually toggle between any of these languages, and the posts themselves, the text, will actually be in the language that you selected. So Russian, Romanian, Japanese, English. And you'll see actually there's an option to even say, okay, I'm in Portuguese language, but show me the original language of the post that the person posted in. You can kind of toggle that on and off right here. So I'll toggle that off. And what makes this really interesting is that AnyChat has this style where you have a group chat of people that are on a stage, and then you have a lot of people watching. So this is a brand new chat that I just made earlier today, but you can see here, you have the creator that's on the stage, you have admins that are on the stage, and you have the actual stage. So you can imagine like a conference talk. And then you can have thousands or tens of thousands or millions of people, hypothetically, watching the conversation and getting involved. And they can get involved in a couple ways. So one is that they can kind of highlight it and they can like a post, emote on it. They can also say thanks and send a tip. So you'll see here that this, when I click this thanks, this is going to open up MetaMask, and it's going to say, okay, you can send that Moxie as a tip for this post. And it doesn't just have to be Moxie. You can actually select all of these different token types by default, or you can put in your own kind of token if you'd like. So you have Moxie, Degen, USDC, Ethereum, or Terminal. Now, additionally, you can also see here that not all posts are public, and some can actually be revealable content. So this actually says, click to support this channel. It's 1,000 Moxie to reveal, or 10 Moxie to reveal, or we're even going to go something a little simpler, right? Oops. Something simple, right? And then I'm just going to go down here, choose requirements, and I'm going to say simple reveal, click to reveal, set requirements. And when I send it, now the people that are in the chat will have to click to reveal it. And so when you click it, you can see that it's been unlocked and it shows the unlock account. So this is really nice for your projects, especially e-commerce projects or crypto projects or any project that is international by nature. There's a ton of content that we don't see from other influencers or other creators or other founders or investors simply because we don't speak the same language. So this platform, AnyChat, is open. It's browser session based, so that means you don't have to have a special login, and it's ready to go right now. And the last thing I want to show you is this thing called AIDD. So it stands for AI-driven development. And this is an open source project that I just launched a couple hours ago. You'll see here. Very, very fresh, and I open all kind of contributions and collaborations. Please feel free to kind of add in pull requests, things like that. But having been in the technology space for over 15 years now, I can tell you for sure that some of my best projects were test-driven projects. So that was using things like RSpec or Jasmine or Cucumber, these different BDD and TDD platforms that allowed me to write my tests first and then write code to fix my tests and make them pass. Now, this whole AI wave has created what I consider to be a lot of AI cowboys. And what that means is that you're going to put in a prompt into ChatGPT or Claude, and you're going to come out with some code, and you're basically going to copy and paste it over to Vercel or Replit or whatever it is, and you're going to run it. And if it works, it's great. If it's not, you're going to kind of copy it again and kind of rinse and repeat. The problem with this is that the AI does not have a good understanding or a perfect understanding of what your hard and soft requirements of a project are. So for instance, sometimes you're writing code and you're like, well, I really want the title to be 4XL, right? Like I don't know, a 64 pixel height title. And you could write that out, but then sometimes if you add it to the whole code base, your AI will come in and it'll chop up all these different areas and be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. And so AIDD, or AID for short, is a system that allows you and is being dreamt of as a system to allow you to kind of offer very concise, hard requirements to the AI and then let it fill in the gaps. So for instance, it's going to cover tests, benchmark, design system, and IO parameters to components. And so I'll briefly talk about what I mean by these. So the flow of tests will be, I want to create a pure function, and actually kind of outline it down here. Or maybe I didn't, but basically, yeah, the test is you're going to write a pure function or a feature, and you want the tests to be written in Jasmine for you. And also, ideally, you want those tests to be run and the code to actually be generated to pass those tests. there can actually be a scenario where a few tests are written, and then you're like, you know what, I actually need to add in 2, 3, 4 other tests and make sure the code generates and makes those pass as well. So that's the first one on tests. Benchmarks makes a lot of sense too. Maybe you have a React component or you have a full page on Next.js, and you're like, look, this page loads in 1 second. I want to get it down to a quarter second, or I want to get it down to 50 milliseconds load time, right? Really, really fast. And so ideally, you can just tell the AI saying like, hey, look, run this benchmark software and make this faster. And it should have access to your file system. It can have access to the internet. It can have access to anything. But really the goal here is just to say, okay, we know what our goal is. Our customers say that this should be faster, and AI is smart enough to do these things. Most of us are actually just using AI anyways. So AI, here's my rule, get it to this speed and have at it. And that's really the goal here again. The third one is the design system. And as you're listening to me, these actually all can be totally separate pieces of this repo, or actually totally different packages if we're interested. But for the time being, I just want to kind of get down the scope of kind of what aid looks like. So the design system is, a lot of times you have a code project and you've added in your own kind of typography, your color system, light and dark mode. And you're like, okay, now I need to add in a new feature. And the problem with AI right now is that oftentimes it kind of just pulls from the web. Or if you're just using ChatGPT or just using Claude, one of the big problems with that is that it does not allow you to kind of, it doesn't stay in the confines of what your design system is. So this new system would allow you to basically have a separate area where you input your design system to the AI and say, just like the testing and benchmarks, you have some hard requirements saying, okay, create a component, but it must meet my design system. If it doesn't meet my design system, I don't want it. But if it does, feel free to kind of blur the edges, find some other ways to improve it, but it at minimum must have this kind of coloring, this kind of spacing, this typography, et cetera, et cetera. And that really kind of blends into the last one, which is creating components based on the input and output parameters of your component. So say, for instance, you have a button that you want to show on your website. You should say, okay, this button is going to take in a text input and it's going to be small or large. And the component should output some sort of rendering. And maybe it's also in line with your design system. And that AI should be able to just generate over and over and over, maybe 50, 100, or one really good component for your website. And really from what I've seen so far, the closest we can get to this is using prompts. But I think if you kind of go back 10 years in terms of kind of where the web was, I think we all realize that test-driven development really elevated the quality of our applications. And so it's time to bring that to the AI space, where AI can do a lot of the heavy lifting on the testing side, and we can be a little bit more deterministic in terms of what we want, and let AI kind of add in its own creativity as well. So those are the 4 things that I have on the go right now. We have this platform Biput that we're always talking about all the time. So if you're a founder or investor, and if you want to get involved in the conversation and talk about these projects or your projects, feel free to reach out. But this is kind of what I've been working on this week. It's Friday, October 18th, and I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks.